Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where we bring you reviews on the latest, or at least the cheapest indie games we can find. But this one might actually be an indie game made specifically for anime fans. If you've heard of or watched anime like Desert Punk, Cowboy Bebop, or Redline, Desert Child is a game that you may want to at least take note of. Desert Child is a game that's set in the not too distant but very dingy near future. As the main character, you start off the game with the sole motivation of participating in the Mars Grand Prix. And this is pretty much going to be your one-way ticket out of those Blade Runner-style futuristic slums. But with only a broken down bike and an empty stomach, you have to find some way to make enough money to buy a ticket off-world. Immediately starting the game though, you have the choice of picking one of 4 starting weapons. These weapons are rated on their difficulty based on kind of how hard they are to use, but also how beneficial they are to gameplay. Something with low difficulty might be really easy to use, but might not have as much of an advantage late game. And be forewarned, there's no actual ability to switch in-game, so you're gonna have to start a new game if you don't like the weapon you picked. And after selecting your weapon, you immediately start the game broke and hungry on Earth. And since this first area is designed more just to get you used to playing the game, there's really not much more to do except take on a few races, eat, and fix your bike. But as soon as you gain $500, you immediately purchase a ticket to Mars, and that's where the real gameplay starts. On Mars, you'll have plenty of areas to explore and dozens of ways to make money, but sometimes they're not always legitimate. You can always earn money through races or through the job posting boards, taking on bounty hunting jobs for the police or kangaroo herding for local kangaroo herders, as well as a few other types of jobs, including those for the local crime syndicate. These can include purposely throwing races, hacking banks, or just causing mayhem and havoc. Though, however lucrative, if you engage with the crime scene too often, your reputation is going to shoot through the roof, resulting in you getting caught by the popo. Aside from exploring your new Martian home and trying to accrue $10,000 to compete in the Grand Prix, pretty much no matter what you're doing, who you're working for, or how you're racing, you'll be competing on a side-scrolling short track with the ability to move your bike left and right or forward and backward, as well as making liberal use of the boost system and whatever firearm you chose. And though that racing dynamic does make up about 99% of the gameplay, there actually is kind of a nice RPG influence in the game. Desert Child has a wealth of NPCs for you to talk to and areas to explore and figure out exactly how you want to play the game and how you want to make your money. And this is because money is not only used to inevitably buy that Grand Prix ticket, but also to purchase upgrades for your bike. And though these upgrades are randomly purchased from the pawn shop for $600 each, some of these upgrades could include how much energy your bike has, how much power your weapons have, or how much cash you can pull in a single race. But figuring out how to stack them into the tiny chassis of your bike is all up to you. But if you can't make enough money to buy your own parts, you could always hack somebody else's bike and steal theirs. However, having all the parts doesn't mean you're gonna have the best bike, because there's only so many you can fit on at one time. So besides buying or stealing upgrades for your bike, how to actually fit them on your bike and how to use them together is a whole nother learning curve. And for some missions or races, you're gonna find certain layouts to be way more effective, but I generally went with huge firepower and shields. Desert Child also has a really rich soundtrack with albums that you can purchase in-game to play as kind of your background theme music. And I'd have to say that made the experience a lot more enjoyable, but there are some negative things that we do need to talk about. Primarily that this is a very short game, maybe 2 or 3 hours if you really invest yourself in it. And the other thing being that the race dynamic is all of the dynamic of the game. It doesn't really change up too much, and though the ending races do get more and more difficult, once you get a hang of it, there's really not that much more challenge to the game. And finally, as odd as this may sound, the menus are one of the weak points. There's really no pause button in the game, especially not during the races, but as short as they are, that's not a huge issue. The real issue I want to point out is the fact that if you do go into the options screen, you can select new game, and without warning, all of your data can be lost. Then yeah, for me that's kind of a big deal. And overall, I'd have to say that this indie, with its incredibly unique take on the genre and its just really chill vibe, is an awesome game to play even if it is short. So if you are a fan of those futuristic space cowboy type anime or manga, or you think you might want to try out a new indie racing game, Desert Child might be one you want to put on your list. But anyway, this has been Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.